at 4:30. We are now joined by Matt Alkire. And Matt, how did I say your name when I phonetically tried to send it to you and made it Italian?
I don't know. You said it the way everyone else says it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I was when you have a name like mine that's mispronounced all the time, I'm always figuring it out. Plus, I have a co-host in Paul Catalina that wanted to make it that way because you end in a vowel. So, Matt Alkire, you've been breaking down dozens and dozens and dozens of clips from the Shrine Bowl, and now you're working on the Senior Bowl. And I've seen a lot when it comes to Taekwon Thornton. That's how it kind of caught my attention. Your thoughts about what you've seen from him?
Taekwon looks good. I'd seen him during the season, obviously, and just tried to get a gauge on what I thought about him. And during the season, the first thing that you're looking for right now is where do you value him going into the bowls? Because these kids really have to work between the season and the bowl games on getting better. And before the bowl game, saw a lot of athleticism and a lot of things I liked, but a lot that he needed to work on. And I think what I saw at the Shrine Bowl is he worked on things like sharpening his routes, his releases, catching the ball a little bit different. Now, just to give you an example, he's very good at body adjustment. Taekwon does a good job at high pointing the ball and spatial awareness, kind of like when you're playing basketball and you're boxing a man out and you're feeling your way, and he gets vertical. But one of the things that he's done before, and Baylor fans have seen, he's had some drops to where it's not that he drops the ball. He has really good hands, but when he gets hit, it's because he tends to try to keep the ball away from the defender, and he doesn't hold on. He's worked on these things, and you can see him crisp in and out of breaks, really beating people with his route running, and he's been really impressive. He's been someone that I thought was maybe a late fourth coming in that I think now is going to challenge people in their evaluations to where do you start talking about he's an early fourth rounder, maybe push a day 2 pick? I don't know, but Taekwon's looked really, really good. So I thought he was the best receiver at the Shrine Bowl, and I don't think it was close.
How about some of the other Baylor guys that were at the Shrine Bowl? Did any of them stick out to you?
Xavier Newman Johnson looked a lot better than he did on film to me. That's not that he looked bad. When I watched him on film, the first thing that I wrote down is easy mover. And if I write down easy mover, that's the first thing that I look for. I want to see lateral quickness. I want to see you be able to move side to side. I saw him play in a couple different seasons. Saw him play, I think, left, right guard, and center. I think he played 3 positions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When I saw him. And he looked to have a little bit of trouble anchoring. But, I mean, he played to the whistle. He pulled really well. He looked like he was going to be a zone guy in the NFL. He had a nasty streak to him. And I saw a lot of upper body strength, and he was turning people. The one thing that I wanted to see was incorporate your lower body into it and get your lower body and your upper body on the same page. And that is where, when I watched him at the Shrine Bowl, his lower body and his upper body were kind of playing together, so to speak. And he just looked so much more fluid. The other thing is, on game film, when he got to the second level, he did not make great blocks. He wasn't decisive. He looked like he was thinking. At the Shrine Bowl, he was making good blocks. And I think these kids get some time to where they either work on their own, or I think Xavier has a personal coach to where they start to get to really focus and work on, hey, this isn't what I do so well. And I think they both really helped their stock there, just in the way that they've worked in the off season, I'm guessing. So, but they both look good. Like them a lot.
Caitlyn Barnes, a super athletic guy at corner. We've kind of heard the legend of his track times and all of that ever since we started covering him out of Silsbee High School. Didn't have like a big interception career or anything like that. Well, it was just solid overall. I figured this would be an opportunity for his athleticism to really shine. Has it?
No.
Okay.
I didn't think he had a great week, to be honest with you. Just kind of average. Just gonna leave it there.
No, that's fine. I mean, we didn't bring you on just for all pumps and circumstance. We want to know the truth serum. That's why I enjoyed your clips, because I've seen you've broke it down with some, and when they're having a good moment or whatever, you've said it that way as well.
So what are the issues Caitlyn's facing?
I'll tell you the truth. Watching the secondary, a lot of the secondary had the same problem, and frankly, it was. I feel like, one, they're in a bad situation to where a lot of them are protecting routes against players that just are meant to beat them. And to give you an example of that, and David saw a lot of my clips. If you're trying to defend against Kyle Phillips or Jareth Stearns or Taekwon Thornton in these games, it's over. Mm-hmm. So to make a point to that, in the Senior Bowl right now, I'm watching Calvin Austin from Memphis. No one can guard him. No one can stay with him. No one can even come close. And when you get twitchy guys that are really good route runners, it's really impossible in that setting to look good. And I think some of these guys really struggle. One of my favorite defensive backs down there is the Marion Williams from Houston. And I know Baylor fans don't want to hear about Houston players, but Marion struggled. And I have to go back and watch him and, why did you struggle? Because I had you as a fifth rounder and didn't have a great weekend. So I have to run back, look at these guys in depth and find out and answer your question. Hey, why did they struggle? What was it? And that's why we have the game on film here. So I think a lot of it was just better receivers, to be honest with you.
One of the things as well is that our audience on YouTube is national, and Houston being a part of the future Big 12, we do, in fact, cover them on occasion. So whether it's a West Virginia kid or somebody from Brigham Young, because of the new arriving addition at some point as well. So we've checked off Caitlyn Barnes, we've checked off Taekwon Thornton and Xavier Newman Johnson, and that leaves us with Tristan Ebner, who at times explosive, overshadowed this year quite a bit because of how Abram Smith played at running back at Baylor. I
like Tristan. I think Tristan's going to find a place in the NFL. He's a really good special teamer, and he runs smooth. When I started to watch Abram Smith, who I really like, this is the beginning of the year, I'm sitting here and, who's the other back? Runs smooth, has good vision. Again, really good special teams player. And to make it in the NFL, you're going to have to be able to play special teams from day one. So when you're an NFL team and you're looking for your third running back, and every NFL team's third running back was a starter in college. If you're Tristan Ebner and you were, I don't want to call him a backup, he certainly wasn't a backup, but you were a guy that shared the rock, what are you going to do to differentiate yourself? And his special teams ability, I think, is going to help him out a lot. I think he's a guy that's going to be picked up quick as a priority free agent. I think he'll make a team, and I think he's going to be able to contribute immediately. I like his running style a lot. And I simply just think he helps himself with that added special teams bonus. So, and then you obviously have the other two guys that'll be playing this week, who were outstanding to watch on film. So,
who has stood out to you in terms of non-Baylor guys from the Shrine Bowl in particular? Who are some other names nationally that are? I mean, like he said, our audience is kind of all over. But who are the guys that helped themselves most, I guess, this week?
It's funny. David asked me who are some kind of sleeper names. I don't know that they're sleeper names, but for me, Cordell Volson from North Dakota State. I'm a big fan of, and Cordell played left tackle, right tackle, and then right guard up at North Dakota State. They're starting to get a pipeline going. He had some extremely dominant times in Vegas, and when he starts to climb, get to that second and third level, he can be a dominant guard. I thought he did really well out there. I think he could go as high as the third round. I might be on a little bit of an island there. I'm perfectly comfortable on that island. Toss me a couple beers, and I'm fine with it. Hayden Howerton from SMU was outstanding. Hayden Howerton, I hadn't seen a lot of film on. I will have to go back and watch it. I got stuck watching the receivers in the air show they have down there. Hayden Howerton played guard and center. I thought he had the best offensive line week of anyone. So, really liked him. Dawson Deaton from Texas Tech, just really good. He's definitely been working with an O-line coach because his legs were under him and he was driving people. Devin Cochran, left tackle from Georgia Tech, outstanding. Kellen Deach, Arizona State left tackle. People made a big deal of his arms. His arms were, I think, 32.5 inches, which is supposed to be short. My number one player in the entire draft last year was Rashawn Slater, 33-inch arms. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. 1/2 an inch to the guy that I thought was the best player overall last year. And then Zach Tom from Wake Forest, center, I thought did really well. I think one of the things that I look for is the way everything's trending. The center class is so weak this year. So I think if you have that position capability to switch to center, you definitely helped yourself out. A lot of these guys were what, I'm about to say this, were what we thought they were.
Gotcha.
Matt Alkire again is our guest. All clips, all 22 clips, and also on Twitter at Matt Alkire. It's a great follow. He's got clip after clip after clip of all the various reps during practice, and he's discussed the 4 Baylor players, among others, at the Shrine Bowl, and now starting to break down what's going on at the Senior Bowl in Mobile.
Matt, to the Senior Bowl now. Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, a guy who transferred in from Georgia, I think single-handedly affected and won the Miami game for them and almost did it against Clemson. He was very good for Florida State and a team that didn't have a lot of good defenders. He's putting on a show. Do you see him sneaking into the end of the first round now?
No, yeah, he's in there. Yeah, I had Jermaine right at the end of the first round. I think he's my 32nd overall player. I'd have to look at my site. But I started to watch the American practice last night, and he actually long-armed Darian Kennard and just he pancaked a 360-pound lineman and was dominant throughout the entire practice. He was the best player there. And as I'm watching it, I'm in complete disbelief of just how good he looks. So, yeah, Jermaine has done more than snuck in. He broke the door down, to answer your question.
I want to ask you about the group of Baylor guys, since we touched on the Shrine Bowl guys. I know Terrell Bernard's not playing. He's injured, pulled a hamstring or whatever it was. But you did mention Abram Smith. So they got Abram Smith, Jalen Petrie, and JT Woods. Any thoughts on those 3 in particular?
Yeah. Jalen Petrie is, I have to tell you, for everyone, one of the more intriguing guys down there. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a person in the draft community that doesn't love Jalen Petrie. Everyone's a fan. I think what it's about for us is how do you project to the NFL? Because Baylor was so creative with him, playing him off the edge, getting him a running start on some plays to get into the backfield and create havoc. And that's what's fun about Jalen Petrie. He is a high IQ player. He's got great instincts. I've talked to the member of the former staff there that has said great things about him, has said great things about Terrell Bernard. It's how does Jalen Petrie sit back and play, 2 deep at safety? How does he read a quarterback going through progressions? How does he just play, as much as I hate to say it, normal safety?
Right.
I don't think anyone will play him that way, but how he plays now is more of a box guy. And the way someone that evaluates him for the next level is going to look at him is, hey, his body is not going to stand up to this. So we need to see realistically how do you transition? And he has grades all over the board. I know people that think he's a late round pick. I don't agree with that at all. I right now have him as a very early 4th rounder, and I just want to evaluate him some more.
You know what's I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was Tyrann Mathieu, who is obviously was a great player in college, and I looked at his size. Petrie's actually bigger than him, bigger height, stronger. It appears, and is that a fair comparison or not?
I see. When I think of Tyron, I think of more of a twitchy athlete, and it's funny that you bring up a fair point. It's been brought up before in conversations I've had with people. It's the best way to put this. Sometimes you get paralysis by analysis. You just think of things too much, and that's where I get afraid of being with Jalen Petrie. To where the kid's been so good. Stop thinking. Stop overthinking this. And that's why at no point do I think he is as good as someone like Lewis Cine. I just don't. And Lewis Cine, I think very highly of. I think he's going to go in the first round. But I think Jalen Petrie is an outstanding player that can wreck offenses. And it's trying to figure out, how do you quantify what you were talking about there with Honey Badger? I never thought he would be that good of a player in the NFL. So where do these guys end up going, and how do you figure out how good or how much that's going to translate? And I just don't know the answers is the question. I forget what you asked other than that. Sorry. I'm terrible on radio.
Yeah, you were talking about JT Woods and Abram Smith. Yeah, you're all good, man. Yeah.
JT, he popped on film. When I was watching Jalen, JT just kept coming downhill, excellent angles, and played the run phenomenal. Had some interceptions, and I'm dead honest with you. Who is this? I went to the roster. JT Woods. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tweet this out, write him down. I'm taking notes. Who is this? And took my notes, wrote down what I thought of him, and didn't see anybody writing anything. So, okay, I really like this kid. And then people started writing now, and then he's in the senior bowl. I'm like, okay. Well, apparently everybody else saw it too. Good, because he does. I don't really care all that much, but it is nice to see some other people being like, hey, I like it too.
Right.
So, yeah, JT's a really fun player, and he's getting better. Abram Smith's one of my favorite running backs out there. I'm not a huge believer in taking running backs high. I hate to be that guy, but I just am. So Abram Smith, if my NFL squad takes a running back, take Abram Smith, please. North, south, zone scheme, just pounds the rock. I absolutely love the way he plays football. Just one cut and just gets downfield. He is a really fun back to watch. He was one of my favorite guys to watch. So the only thing he could do to hurt his stock at this point is fumble. So don't fumble.
And the story of him at one point was a running back in high school, then turned linebacker, and then they needed somebody to run that one cut in Jeff Grimes' offense. So those are the kind of stories you hear about. Of course, we're right in the middle of it. We've told it as much as anybody, but that's got to say something about him as well, right? He's just a football player.
As I said, I've gotten a little bit of a heads up on some of these kids from the older staff, and the things I've heard about them is just great kids, just the type of kids you need to have on your team. So it was that was an awesome story. I did not know that about him. I try to go into their bio as much as possible, but finding that out that he had switched positions and basically some non-radio verbiage, but he essentially would knock your teeth out was the way it was put to me. So yeah, he's just fun to watch. He's old school, and he's an NFC East back. That's what I'll say.
Matt, before we let you go, just kind of a blanket, broad question here. Who's the best quarterback nationally that you've seen so far? Maybe a guy that you're super high on now.
Dude, you just asked me about quarterbacks.
Is that a bad position?
The best quarterback? Oh, man. somebody in next year's class.
It's like that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess Matt Corral. I don't like Matt in that offense. Anybody that follows me, it's a Mississippi fan, just unfollow me on that. I don't like him in that offense. I'd love to see Matt out of it. I want to see that arm out of it. But my top guy is Matt Corral. I love the way the strong kid from Nevada throws the ball, but I've just seen his knee and seen him try to move, and he's not a mobile kid, and it kills me because he throws a gorgeous ball, so I'm not real big on the quarterback class.
Gotcha.
Quarterback's a bad idea to ask me. Look up Mark Schofield. Mark can give you all the quarterback stuff you need.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm glad I found you on my timeline, and I'm damn glad we got you on this show to break down not just some of the Baylor players, but also some of the ones around the country as well. It's going to be a fun lead up, the combine, and eventually, of course, the draft as well. Matt, thank you. Appreciate your time, man. Great stuff. So much. Great stuff.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Matt Alkire, again, on Twitter, just as the name you would spell, Alkire. You can go, it's all 22 clips. Like the clip right now that was 37 minutes ago from the Senior Bowl is on Cole Strange, a center, doing some blocking drills. And the next thing you know, it's somebody else. And Paul, I told him we are going to discuss some of the Baylor guys, and I said, we're going to want to know some of the sleepers or whatever. You mentioned the Florida State guy. I mean, he answered that immediately and knew, again, and what he said about Abram Smith or Jalen Petrie. Don't outthink yourself. Just get him.
Well,
figure it out.
That's what people have been saying about him for a while. Like I said, I went on a rant yesterday about this, did I not? About the whole, where do we play him? Just find somewhere. He's not in a linebacker. Well, then don't play him at linebacker. Like, it's not hard. It's you play around where he fits in, and if he doesn't fit in, then you don't try and fit a square peg in a round hole.
The base defense is the nickel right now, so someone like Jalen Petrie makes a ton of sense to me.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be very coveted by team. And, as we talk to more draft analysts, we'll get more national with the questions and all that, because I am curious about a lot of other guys. But obviously, it's a big week, all-star week for 8 Baylor players, and that they don't typically have that many guys in these bowl games. So that's speaking to their success this year in the senior class that they had. So bummer to hear about Caitlyn Barnes. I mean, that he didn't have a very good week, but apparently none of the DBs really, or cornerbacks, had a really good week. But the other ones, I mean, Xavier Newman Johnson's had himself a week where I think he's turning some heads. I don't know, if it ends up an undrafted free agent or late round pick or whatever it might turn into, but he's making positive strides. So that's good to hear. JT Woods, Jalen Petrie. I mean, they got some really athletic, intriguing guys. I think their pro day is going to be super interesting here in a few weeks.
All right, Eric Edholm, by the way, on Twitter. Senior Bowl Day 2 winners. This is a joke. Anyone who went hard last night and then spent 7 hours in the rain today as the Senior Bowl continues down the practices in Mobile, Alabama. All right, we have discussed